And now, 1160 AM KBDT proudly presents Life Solutions, coaching, counseling, naturopathic medicine, insights for successful living, and getting better with Beal.
Welcome. We love having you here, and we are excited to help you know how to get healthier today in light of the sheltering in, the pandemic, all the things that are going on. We love to go outside and go hiking, and I have Dr. Jim Slaughter here today to help me.
Hey, everybody. Good to be here.
And if you like walking, brisk walking, hiking is a good way to improve your cardiovascular fitness, particularly in your route. If it includes hills, which force your heart to work harder. We also know that in Japan, they call it tree therapy. What else do they call it, Dr. Slaughter? They call it outdoor therapy.
Yeah, there's another term that they use, though. I can't think of it right now. We'll come up with it in a minute.
Yeah, and we just love it because it talks about living close to nature, getting out in the trees, any kind of thing like that, how it helps you heal.
Yeah, someone came up with the term biophilia.
Biophilia, that's right.
Two Greek words combined, meaning love for life. Love of life is really what that means. But you know, it refers to enjoying being outside and communing with the creation. You know,
it really does help. It helps you feel better.
Well, it really does me, and this has been a regular part of our lives for quite some time now. And yesterday we went out to some trails at the lake that we really enjoy, and for the first time this year. And we hiked a tough trail, most of it, and really, really enjoyed it in many different ways that we want to talk about today.
Living close to nature, if you're not able to get out and hike, but living close to nature or even be able to see it out your window. They have research that proves just having green out your window, greenery in your house, or even green pictures, spending time outside, living close to nature has significant and wide-ranging health benefits. They have research from all over showing that. The research I'm looking at is from the University of East Anglia. They have University of Pennsylvania, and definitely the Japanese, they know this, and they started it in like 1984, in the 1980s, opening up all their forest and parks and everything, encouraging people just to get outside. And a lot of people, as you know, Dr. Slaughter, in light of this pandemic, they believe it's healthier, and they're telling people to stay inside. What is a problem with that?
Well, that's a very controversial subject for sure, but we would rather be outside, and I believe that inside is where the germs are, and we have to be really careful about infecting ourselves just by being inside. We know that isolation is normally considered not good, and so being outside, not isolated, is normally a very good thing. And so,
and where do viruses thrive?
Viruses thrive in shady, dark, cool places.
Yeah, they thrive more in cold and in cool and in damp, and not in heat and in air. And it's interesting when you read history about all the different, Elmo just fell off the table, all the different people and all the different diseases back in the 1800s and early 1900s, and how they got people to get outside. And one of those was Edward L. Trudeau, and he has a fascinating story because it was back during the tuberculosis and consumption time in the mid-1800s and early 1900s. Mm-hmm. And he was a pioneer in discovering that if you go outside, and so he got consumption. His brother had it. A lot of people had gotten it all around the town.
Tuberculosis is the same as what they call consumption.
Yeah, it was called consumption because the body slowly, they lost weight, they got so thin, it kind of consumed their body in a way, when you say that. And so you lose the desire to eat. It's a lung disease. And he actually, when he found out he had it after watching his brother die slowly indoors, right? Mm-hmm. And it was pretty horrible with all the coughing and not being able to breathe and the blood and everything. He decided that he wasn't going to put his family through that, so he moved to the wilderness. And while he was going to die out there, but while he was out there, he actually got better. Mm-hmm. And within in a week, he felt better. Within a month, he had put on a lot more weight, and he got well. And then he went home then he got sick again. So he ended up moving his family to the wilderness. And it's a very fascinating story. He eventually started a treatment retreats by building cottages on Lake Saranac in the Adirondacks. He built cottages with these giant porches. And so people were moved out in their beds. They were actually moved out on the porch or had them sit out on the porch in the air. And so that they could get better. And so they built these giant places with these giant porches. And they had them all over, and people, even very wealthy people and the well-known people, now they were moving there to get well. And it was all about outdoors. Interesting.
Well, right, and from the turn of the century, that is the 20th century, around the early 1900s, there was a movement in the health industry to for people to go into the West,
yes,
or into the mountains, or into the woods, and knowing that that would help them get better. They could recover often from their diseases if they would do that. And authors have written nonfiction, fiction novels about that very consideration, about people coming home from the First World War. They're sick. They have shell shock. They are in tuberculosis. Their bodies are worn out. So they go west and they get better and they recover. And the truth is that's what happened to
because it was warmer and it was beautiful. Yes. Now the Adirondacks do have the cold season. And so but they found out even just being outside was better. And so this started a trend of these houses with these giant porches. And so there was a time in the 1800s and early 1900s, people built these houses with giant porches all around, and balconies and all that. And so what's funny is, as time went on in the 1900s, late 1900s, people started closing those porches in. They screened them in first. And then, by the 60s and 70s, definitely by the 80s, they closed them all in and just made windows. Well, windows you can open, and that's helpful. And at least you can see out. But they didn't understand the reason for all those porches. Right.
Yeah, I think people just turned them into more living space. And, by 1945, the dread feature of tuberculosis in particular had faded because they had antibiotics that they knew would work on that now. Right. They didn't have that before. And so the natural treatments kind of went by the wayside, and people began using their surrounding porches for something else, and screening them in, and then putting windows over them, and they became just more living space for people.
What's interesting about viruses, though, antibiotics don't kill viruses.
No, they don't. They kill bacteria. But
sunshine does. Yeah. And people were laughing at, I guess Trump was talking about sunshine killing viruses. Well, if it's in your body, I can't just kill it all. It's not going to kill it all. But it definitely helps you get better, just even if it's not sunshine, just being outside. And so I think that you just have to realize when you study about viruses what's helpful. And what's interesting with Trudeau, he actually, they called it Rabbit Island, kind of where he was, because he experimented with rabbits, and he would, with rabbits and bacteria, right? And so he had bacteria, and he'd inject them with bacteria, and then he would keep some rabbits in and let rabbits go. And all the rabbits that got to live on the island free got well. And all the rabbits that were kept in confinement, not outside, died. And so it's fascinating when you read about it. Now, certain bacterias, they have antibiotics to kill them, but they don't kill all bacteria, because a virus is a bacteria, right? It's viral, not bacterial. I got that wrong. I love your face. You're such a PhD. You looked painful right then. I love that. You saw his face then. I know. It cracks me up. He feels bad for me. It's so funny.
No, you're doing great. No, the thing that interests me most about the hiking topic,
yes,
is what it does for me constitutionally, and by that I mean what it does to my mental health and to my emotional health, and obviously my physical health, because I get my heart rate up, I get my breathing rate up, I get my metabolic rate up, and so that's good for me, and it makes my body stronger. Anytime I'm increasing my breathing rate and I breathe in and out at a faster rate, when we exhale, we're not just exhaling CO2, we're exhaling toxins from the body. So we breathe in fresh air, and we breathe out air that has toxins in it and CO2 in it. And so, breathing like that at a fast rate is a good thing for us. That's one of the benefits of a hard workout. You get your heart rate up, over 100 or so, and you're gonna be doing a lot better for yourself because you have your breathing rate is higher, your metabolic rate is higher, and everything.
But people could do that inside. I mean, working out is good for you, if you're on a treadmill or an elliptical, right? And so in the social distancing time or having to shelter in, working out is definitely better. You feel better.
Right, you do, and it's not that you can't get physical benefit by exercise inside, because you can, and the additional benefit to me when it comes to hiking and in particular and being outdoors, and I've been a tree lover for a long time, not in an environmental kind of way, except I really enjoy the woods and I enjoy forests and that kind of thing. But the thing for me, when we were out there yesterday, I get to just relax my mind a little bit, and so
Right.
A lot of the things that have been upsetting or things that have been challenges during the week or whatever, I can just let those go in an environment like that. And so, some people even say that your creativity level rises when you get into the woods or when you hike, when you get out into nature or creation, whichever term you want to use.
Well, and there are many articles on that, and definitely there's lots of proof that hiking makes you happier and healthier, but also there's lots of studies that's been done by business, types, companies that want more creative people, and they've done all this research on how to get more creative, and one of the main ones they say is to go out to a park or hiking trails or things like that, where you're not only outside working out, but you're also seeing all the different types of beautiful scenery around you.
Right.
They say all the different colors and all the different, 3D,
Shapes.
just seeing everything, all the shapes and everything,
Right.
like all at the same time, that it does so much to your brain that you don't realize.
Yeah, it really does. In fact, hiking, and I'll use that term rather than just getting out or walking or something. Hiking is its own kind of thing, and but in that, it's such a sensual experience. All your senses pretty
Right.
much are engaged, and you see. It's what you see. It's what you smell. It's what you feel. It's what you hear. And when you and I go out on the trails, we look for different wild forms of wildlife. We look at the birds. We look at the turtles that we saw on
Yes, yes.
floating on the logs yesterday.
Yeah.
We, in fact, often we'll just count up the number of different kinds of wildlife that we see when we're out on in the woods there.
And you can do that too, like when we live on the lake, so we can do that when we're outside and we walk just the neighborhood. And even if you're in your backyard, if you add bird seed and things like that to attract animals, right? You can see beauty in plants and all that. And so that's part of realizing, but definitely interacting with nature has a real measurable proof of benefits, and definitely to creative problem solving. And we found that. And really right now we're trying to help you feel better, and hitting the trails, of course, works out your body and your mind. It does a lot for your brain. You can burn well over 500 calories, which is very hard to do with equipment in your house. And so hiking's a great way to just put everything together to get so much better. Now, you can get out to these parks. You can get out to trails. It's very easy to social distance. We had no trouble, and you're out in the beautiful weather, and it will help you. But if you can't get out away from your house, at least get outside. Mm-hmm. That's what we would suggest.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Right. And we're focusing on the hiking element of being outdoors,
Mm-hmm.
but even gardening and lawn care, things like that, can add to your overall well-being and health.
Yes, and we've done shows on that, right? About being home and gardening and just plants and even animals. And we have lots of things to try to help you heal. And hiking heals. It heals. And there's so many benefits of that. And we want to talk about some other things similar to that, but definitely all the benefits of it. How are some easy ways to do it in light of everything that's going on, just for additional therapy. So stay right here.
Oh, there was something I was thinking.
Well, and we have all of this is yours.
I wanted to talk about
Reduces
an
anxiety.
uneven trail, picking, what kinds of places to go and things like that, and the fact that, hills are important, climbing is a part of hiking, and uneven terrain is a part of hiking. It increases your sense of balance, it works out different sets of muscles and stuff.
Do you mind? I have something I gotta do on the Facebook. Do you mind just moving that chair out of here?
No.
I thought I got them all. I just gotta pull this up. Okay. Yes, because the trails around here, they even have them for different days, for different letters of the alphabet, people's last names. Yeah, right now. Forest bathing. That's what I was thinking of. Forest bathing.
Oh, yeah. I just remembered the term.
Really popular as a therapy in Japan.
That sounds a little weird to me, but...
Forest bathing. Yeah.
I
Okay,
guess
here it is. So much of the research that Japan has done is on the phytosides, organic compounds with antibacterial properties released by trees.
Ah.
So they were saying that's healing to the body. And there's natural antibiotics, and that's what I was reading last night about Mr. Trudeau, is that he was out in the woods. And so a lot of the antibiotic, when they were looking at what was healing about that and why that's where he started studying.
That's what I was wondering this morning when I said, how does it do that?
Right, how does it do that?
Because plant life apparently releases natural antibiotics that are healing for us. Now, some people would say, well, they release pollen too, and that makes me sick. Well, okay, but... we still... It's
a different kind of sick.
Well, and we don't even
allergies
have
are
to
very
say
different
that,
than...
But the thing, but the thing that most people don't know, I believe, is the other. It's that the natural antibiotics are released that help us get well or stay well. They're healing.
Yes. Well, and that's why... Do you want me to print this for you real quick?
What is that?
It's the article about the trees producing a natural antibiotic. And
I don't know that I need to print it, but just to know that and to talk about it can be important, I think.
I tell you what, when he talked about the reason, and even if you can be out on the porch, or if you can have the windows open, where the air it was all in the air, he was talking about that it can get to you and heal you. And so that's why he realized even just having the windows open.
Right.
So they had these having just screens where people can be, even though they're on the porch, they're on screens, or opening them all the way up. But they really wanted to put everybody out on porches.
See, there's what do you think central heat and air does to all that? Because most of us don't open our windows anymore. We just keep them closed, and the air circulates depending on what we need at different seasons, right? So there's even more of a need for us to get out and do stuff and expose ourselves to fresh air and sunlight and that kind of thing. Vitamin D is just flooding us out there if we're willing to go out and be in it,
And that's so wonderful. I mean, when you think of why, and that's where Mr. Trudeau, Edward Livingston.
To admit it's getting better, a little better all the time.
And now here's more Getting Better with Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
I wanted to give a shout out to Jess Mack. She donated. She knew I was down and not feeling real great because of what's happened in our family. We had a couple deaths, and she gave me all these Elmos. And so she gave me a talking Elmo that says "I love you" and lots of wonderful things. And she gave me a Hokey Pokey Elmo, and wait, she said 4 Elmos. So
Chicken Dance Elmo.
Chicken Dance Elmo. I didn't even know Elmo had all these, and they're hilarious. They're so funny. They make anyone laugh. So I would suggest there are things you can do to feel better when you're sad, because just Elmo does something like that. And I think it's so cute, and I just appreciate it. Again, I just wanted to say thank you. Okay, so back to our topic. So if you're wondering, if you're watching the video on Getting Better with Ann Beal on Facebook, you can see all the Elmos behind me and the one on the desk. And they all talk and sing and dance.
They do. They're very talented, the Elmos.
And they're all happy. That's the thing about Elmo. Usually he's so happy. And I love my favorite video of Elmo, when he's singing with Michael Bublé, when he's like, Michael Bublé, and he's staring at him. Anyway, so back to the subject. Okay, so we were talking on break, which you can see on the videos if you get a chance to watch that, and we'll post them on YouTube as well. On the break, we were talking, I looked up the bathing therapy. It's called tree bathing, forest
Right.
bathing. That's what Japanese
bathing.
call it in all their research. And reading about it, and they actually took the research of Trudeau, which he set out to find out why he got better in the wilderness. And his studies led to the study of antibiotics. I mean, the fact that the trees produce a natural antibiotic.
Which is an incredible thing, really, when you think about it. But, the creation itself provides for ways for us to get well,
Yes.
to heal, and to maintain our health. And so that, to me, that's a wonderful, incredible thing. And that there are natural antibiotics out there just by getting out into nature, into the woods, or wherever it is that you want to go is incredible to me.
Yes, and I think that that is why it was in the air out there. And so he knew that you didn't have to necessarily walk around the forest. He had to get you close to the trees and just being there and breathing the air because they put off that natural antibiotic.
Right. So we're talking elements of nature. We're also talking fresh air here, and so being outside combines a number of things like that produce good health.
Yeah. So when they did the research, they actually talked about that that the trees put off a what do they call that? Phytoncides. What do you call that? Phytoncides. PHY. Just so if you want to look it up. PHYTONCIDES, organic compounds with antibacterial properties. They are released by the trees, and they explain the health-boosting properties of forest bathing by being in the forest. And, I love just being out. I love being in the sun. I love hiking. You love actually being in the woods. You love when we're hiking and you get to the trees.
I do.
What
I've
call the
always,
forest.
I camped out when I was young and hiked with my friends in the hills of southern Oklahoma and all. And I just love the woods. I love the trees. But, there are other environments outside that people love. Right. Also, some people love the beach. Other people love the hills or the mountains. And so it's the outside element. But there is something about the trees and the shrubs and things like that. Plants give off those natural antibiotics. And we're talking about, there are fragrances that we smell when we're out in the woods and out in nature. There are sights that we see. You and I look for, there are plants that actually attract butterflies. You can plant those in your yard if you want to. There are plants that attract hummingbirds. You can plant those in your yard if you want to.
And if you don't want the bugs that drive you crazy, there are plants like eucalyptus plants and things like that detract, that push away bad bugs, right? The ones you don't want.
Yeah, there's even a citronella plant if you want to use that.
And so it's so cool that they did so much research there, and Japan is so healthy. It's amazing what they do. And they knew that it was Professor Andy Jones. He said we often reach for medication when we're unwell, but exposure to health-promoting environments is increasingly recognized as both preventing and helping treat disease. And it would be so helpful for people just to realize the size of these benefits by just going outside when they're not feeling well mentally or physically, instead of just relying on medicines.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It's so easy just to call the doc and try to get something for what we need when, honestly, something free is available outside.
And I think that the medical community does give the impression, or people have gotten the impression, wherever it's come over the last 20 years, 30 years, that doctors, MDs, just medical doctors they prescribe drugs, that is the key to everything, and it really isn't. You have to look at the whole facet of different kinds of medicine out there, and the air and being outside and sunshine and exercise and being with friends is one of many of the things you can do to be well. Okay, the next segment, we should go through these.
Yeah, we've touched on them a little bit, but maybe
Because I
going
think that
through them
people that-
individually would be good.
A lot of people that live in Dallas, we're out more out in the country, but a lot of people that live in Dallas, they just don't have the opportunity to do all that. They're not able to, well, they have the trails that they can get out, but right now, what are they doing with them? Are they having them?
Well, and I don't know the answer to that.
I mean,
I
what
would think
people
that
are
there, well, I don't know. There are hiking trails that are have been built in Dallas.
Renee?
And
Sorry.
White Rock Lake, is there too. With you can get out there.
Renee says hi. I'm just letting you know. Renee Wolford is
Oh,
on.
hi, Renee.
Hi, girl. That's great. So that's the thing. I mean, we're over and we are able to go around a lot easier than a lot of people here. A lot of people are afraid to go out. And so if they don't go out and about, at least they can be in their yard. And that's good.
Yeah.
So it's so important. I think yesterday, hiking helped you keep calm and happy. And it helped your relationships because you were a nicer person. You weren't so worried.
I'm
and
sure that's
stressed,
true.
right?
I think that's true. So we should go do it again today. In fact, we're planning to go out to the trails again today, and I really want to encourage everyone to find a place to hike. There's got to be some place in your area, which is out in creation, out in nature, out in the woods, out in the hills, wherever it is that you can go. When we're in Albuquerque, we love going out just to the foothills.
Right.
Of the Sandia Mountains there. I mean, it's really great. And it's not easy going. We're climbing over boulders and we're finding a way through scrub brush and all kinds of stuff like that and keeping our eyes peeled for rattlesnakes, all kinds of stuff.
You're so funny with people yesterday. Snakes are coming out. I'm thinking you just want to get people's heart rate going. Yes. Yeah, you want to stress people out. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so why does hiking decrease your carbon footprint? That was the one thing that cracked me up.
Are you asking me that
Yes.
question? Okay. The reason that the person who wrote the article is giving is that if we can hike more and walk more, we will drive less.
Oh, I got you.
And therefore, there won't be as much exhaust, not as much carbon residue. And if you believe in that kind of thing, then, maybe that's a reason to include in why you go hike.
I thought maybe it was we would care more about the environment if we got out in it more. We would care more about the natural world if we were in it more, so that we wouldn't just tear down trees because, I don't like that in my yard. So you cut down all the trees. But no, that's not it.
I don't think that was the point. At that,
so you're not using bad gasoline.
At that time, yeah. Well, yeah, and so our emphasis is on living well, living better, being healthy, being good, the best version of ourselves that we can be. And so, a lot of that is a lot of that's made better and enhanced by hiking as a healthy pleasure. So
how can people start small? So that's the thing. I mean, so a lot of people have not been. Thank you. And
well, you start small. We can talk about this too when we're back on. But you start small by just walking.
What is the Del Walmsley Radio Show?
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show Monday through Friday from 11 until noon.
It takes a whole lot more effort to get something started in your life than it does to keep it moving.
Del Walmsley has moved thousands closer to a great life. The Del Walmsley Radio Show is now on 1160 AM KBDT, Monday through Friday from 11 until noon. Listen and move toward your great life today.
To admit it's getting better, a little better all the time.
If you'd like to get better, call Ann right now. 214-810-8255. 214-810-TALK. Now more with Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
if you are interested in taking up the sport yourself, getting out hiking, as Dr. Sada was saying, you can find some trails. We were also talking about starting small. If you've never done it before, then, you know, you want to just take it easy and start walking. There are trails around Dallas, just, you know, the Katy Trail or the trail over, where is that? The really nice trails that go all down, like McKinney and all that area. There's some nice trails over there. So just start small if you haven't done it before. Start out a few miles at a time, or even half a mile. They have a great trail by us that's just out to look over onto the lake. That's like a half mile. It's actually
or
really
even less, maybe. It's very short distance. So.
It's pretty.
Yeah, and I think most cities are beginning to realize the benefits of having hiking trails, and so they're creating them and maintaining them. And so almost anywhere I think that you would be, you can find a place that's really a good hiking trail. And I wanted to include, too, that I think as you get used to hiking a little bit more, sometimes, you know, hills can be an important part of hiking because it's more of a challenge. It gets more of your muscles involved. Some people recommend that you look for uneven trails so that you get your balance improves as you walk over uneven trails and as you climb hills and then come back down and that kind of thing. Your balance improves. You work more muscle groups and that kind of thing. And so eventually you'll get really good at it and probably will come to like it. Make sure you take water with you when you go. Maintain your hydration level. You may want to make sure you have a good pair of shoes on with ankle support. Make sure you wear a hat if you're a guy with no hair.
You make me wear a hat, right? That's funny. You were just working in the yard. Well, and one of the cool things that I think people can do, if you're not really just, I don't really like to just go walk or go hike or whatever, you can do geocaching. Remember geocaching?
Boy, I haven't thought of that for a long time.
Because everybody now has a phone, and if you look it up, geocaching, so caching, C-A-C-H-I-N-G. And so a cache was when people would store and hide, like a bank robber. He would take his cash, and it was spelled C-A-C-H-E, is that right? Mm-hmm. And he would dig a hole and hide it, right? And so they actually call it geocaching. So there are millions of geocaching caches hidden around the world. And if you can find these locations with your phone. So at Eagle Mountain Park, they have all these locations of hidden treasures at the park. And so you are looking for these, but you're not thinking about hiking, even though you are, because you're walking and you're finding these treasures, okay? And they're like in ammo boxes you'll find and things like that.
Small boxes.
Small boxes
whatever,
hidden.
yeah.
And in fact, there's one by our office right by Dollar General. And I was like, wait, it's telling me there's one right by here. And so I went out there, and sure enough, behind the tree, there it was. It was the coolest thing. And all around Hazlitt, all around Dallas. So you can go to rei.com. They have geocaching for beginners. I know that because that's one of the reasons we started finding that. I saw it on their website. And REI is a store. So for hikers, if you've not ever been there, it's a cool store. So the verywellfamily.com has all about geocaching. So you could do that.
Okay.
Just around your neighborhood, no matter where you are all over the world, I guarantee you, even if you're by White Rock Lake, okay, there's lots of things hidden there. So you can just look up geocaching, and it'll get you out and it'll get you looking.
Yeah, and these boxes are just little trinkets and things like that. But the fun is in the hunt, right? And that's what you're doing.
It is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you can say it turns everyday life into a treasure hunt. Just where you are. Put it in your phone and you'll find it.
There are many treasures when we hike in the hills where we are and over there in the woods and everything. And we find you had a bunch of little baby armadillos come up to your feet one time when we were hiking, and they were the cutest things. And there are all kinds of wildlife. We've seen turkeys, we've seen bobcats, we've seen all kinds of stuff.
I saw a raccoon going. He just looked at me. He was in a tree. I'd never seen a raccoon up in a tree. Okay. So maybe I haven't seen that many, but he was up in the tree, and he went down head first and just slid down like a fireman on a ladder, real quickly down and took off. We've seen so many cool things by getting out.
Yeah, it's very stimulating to get out, and I was noticing as soon as we got on the trail yesterday, and I've used it a couple of times already, but the fragrances out in the woods are really incredible. The the smell, the fragrances from the trees, from the plants, all kinds of different things. Even the earth itself has its own fragrance. And I just love that. I mean, it's such a blessing to me to be out in the midst of that.
Well, and it makes you calmer, happier. It helps you sleep better. And
Yes.
you definitely sleep better when you've been outside.
Mm-hmm.
And the air quality, you have a better memory. When we've talked about how it makes you more creative because of all the interactions to all the senses. But it also improves your memory immensely the more that you're outside.
Right. And a number of articles have been written about how it makes your brain just sharper and clearer and more focused and more capable. A lot of people say that when they're out hiking and walking in nature, they actually get great ideas for whatever they need ideas for. If they need to solve a problem, often it comes to their mind what it is that they need to do, just because a lot of the other stimuli that we're so used to all the time aren't there. And so our brain has an opportunity to work in different ways, more creative ways.
There's so many distractions today.
Oh, man.
You're a completely different person when you get out and you get away from all the distractions and you just have yourself back. It's like your family, your friend, your relative, all of a sudden they'll have you back, whoever that is. People have really disappeared since the internet came out in 2000. It has destroyed lives, but it's also changed people immensely, and in my opinion, it's divided them a lot.
Right, it really has. And the thing is, you and I, we in a way you could say we fight against isolation because we see the harm that it does to people.
Right.
And so the opposite of isolation is getting out and getting out of your cubbyhole, wherever that is, and out into the outdoors where there's warmth and there's sun. And even in the wintertime, it's a different kind of environment, but you get the chill in the air that's really, really nice after a hot summer. So there's so many different things about it. But in our language, in our therapeutic language, in our mental health language, isolation is bad. Getting out is good.
Yeah, and I've heard. I watch the press conferences all the time. I hear Dr. Fauci. I hear Dr. Briggs. I hear all these people. And the problem I have with it, that has never been how we've handled any illness ever before. When do you hide inside and isolate so that you don't get sick? Because you do get sick. It's a different kind of sick, and people die all the time from that. And so there's a way to prevent illness. There's lots of ways to prevent illness. Now, we believe in boosting your immune system and doing all these kinds of things and being smart and being wise. You don't just hide inside, and definitely you don't separate everyone alone. People will die that way. I mean, I think if you want to know the number one way to cause a person to be either suicidal, homicidal, or severely depressed, severely anxious, just pick something mentally not good and physically not good. In torture, when they're trying to torture people and they've been kidnapped or anything like that, or taken prisoners of war, they would isolate them. Mm-hmm. That's one of the number one things they would do. They would isolate them away from anyone else. They'd put them inside in a room, often in the dark, but it was usually a cold, damp place, right?
Sometimes it was really a hot, dark place.
Yeah, that was damp.
I was in graduate school with a guy who was one of the first pilots shot down in Vietnam, and he spent his first week in isolation in nothing but a dark box.
Yeah, so we don't want
no
that.
communication, no contact, and that's one of the severest forms of torture.
And I think that, if you're only in a bubble and you're thinking medically a way to maybe, okay, I'm looking at viruses in a petri dish and I'm finding a way for it not to multiply. So as long as I don't open the petri dish or let it go anywhere. Yeah. Well, people have a lot more to them. So I have been totally against kind of a lot of the stuff that they're doing right now as far as isolating, because we run mental health clinics. And so for us, what they're doing is, okay, we'll have a lot of business in the future for years to come. We have a lot of business anyway. We have more people than we can possibly handle. But we don't need this to happen. So we've been very worried. That's why our show has been all the things you need to do to stay healthy, to get out, do these things. If you sit there and you listen to the media all the time, you are going to be sad, lonely, anxious, depressed, divided. Your family's not going to get along. You're going to drop your friends. You're going to be unfriending people on Facebook. You're going to be doing all this kind of stuff, and you're going to get less and less socialized and more isolated, and you're going to get sicker and sicker. And pick the sickness, okay? It doesn't have to all be physical. It can be mental.
Very much so. In fact, by the way, you've been thinking about this, haven't you? That was really well put. And no. That's really kind of the way we see it. The other thing you mentioned was the strength of an immune system, and it's always been my conviction that to stay well is really more a matter of a strong immune system. I think that's one of the big secrets to life and health is making sure your immune system is strong. And so there are some things that you can do to do that, and we've talked about them in the past, and they're they're natural things, natural ways of boosting our immune system so that our body protects itself. One of those is getting outside, getting vitamin D from the sun, breathing fresh air, using the antibiotics that the trees and plants provide, and getting some physical exercise, breathing hard for a while. And all of those things are ways of boosting the immune system. And
you know, and we work with Dr. Wallach and some other naturopathic doctors, many that are nominated for the Nobel Prize, and we talk with them all the time. They're not scared. They're not isolating in. They're not hiding at all. They're still traveling. They're still working. They're still speaking. Now, they are smart, okay? They are using hand sanitizer. They may, I don't even know, they may be using face masks. They are doing things. They're, have the social distancing. They're just moving forward. And that's where you want to move forward. You don't want to hide in and be afraid without doing things to protect yourself. If you think of all the medical staff and all the essential staff that are out there, a lot of them are, most of them are not getting sick. I don't know any that have gotten sick, but I'm sure they have. And they have to go out. So, I think that hiding in has caused. Now, I understand the logic of staying in to flatten the curve, okay, but so that they can get ahead and get all the medical equipment, get the hospitals ready or whatever, but we've way ahead have done that. And so, I think for us, we are trying to find a way, even if you're stuck in your home, you still want to get outside. And that's where people have totally misunderstood. There are so many people that think if you go outside, you're going to breathe this virus in. And it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work
like that. No. So, I would just like to encourage everyone to look for a place around you, wherever you are. And again, even cities are creating and providing trails for people to hike on. Yeah. So look for a place to get out and go. It'll give you a total new look on life, if you do that. And I tell you, I over and over and over again in our practice, I have guys are continuing to say, I'm so tired of being cooped up. Yeah, and that's the term. People feel cooped up. They feel confined. They feel like they're going kind of stir crazy and they're getting cabin fever and all that. Well, yeah, okay, right. Yeah, it's hard on you. But so take the opportunity, get out into nature and let God take care of you out there and use the opportunity to enjoy health and vitality that's created by the outdoors.
And I think that more and more people, even if they're not getting depressed or anxious, they're stress eating. I don't know who I'm talking to. Stress eating, yeah. Eating a lot, eating abnormally, because if you're used to being gone, and you find yourself home and then the news is very stressful, everything's very stressful, and you're just hiding in. A lot of people, when they do that, it's more like either watching TV or movies, they might snack to that, but if that's all they're doing, they've got the habit of snack eating, and then of course stress eating, and they've stored in with lots of stuff, and so they're eating more. Now, there are people that are grilling outside. We had a friend today on the way here. They were grilling outside and making all grilling vegetables, onions, all kinds of vegetables and meat, and they were very happy. They were just like, I don't know, I just feel good, and a lot of good smells and a lot of good things. And so they're eating healthier. They actually said they lost weight because they were cooking food more, but they also, interesting as said, they're grilling more. So they're outside grilling more. It's been interesting.
Right. If you're grilling meat and vegetables and things like that, a lot of people I think that I know of have prepared to be inside by storing up carbohydrates and sweets. And that's the last thing that we really need to do.
Yes. So if you're grilling outside, okay, or even going outside, you eat better. Something about the outdoors, the beauty, it makes you want to eat healthier. And that's why in the spring and summer, usually people are outside. Now it's beautiful weather. People are outside more, and they find they're eating less. And so they start losing weight by summer. right? And then in the summer, they're always thinner and healthier. And so we want you to go there, not the other way. We don't want you to go back to winter. We don't want you to go back to isolating. That's not good for you.
Right.
Get outside. I got a little passionate there.
That was good, though. I like that.
I didn't
like to
explain
hear
that.
that. So how do you want to end up here?
Well, I would like to, we can talk about next week, or, what would you like to do, Dr. Slaughter? What would you like to do?
Well,
How to find trails near
have
you?
gotten my 2 cents in pretty much. I guess, is there anything on that list that we need to mention?
Well,
we
I
haven't mentioned.
wanted to help people be able to find trails, so I had pulled up the local venues, the local, state, national parks. Good place to start.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
And they might not even know, like, the national parks that are right around here. I mean, we found them over in Fort Worth, the Nature Center and the Eagle Mountain Park and places like that down in Fort Worth. But here they have American Trails is a nonprofit, and they help people find trails around them to get out. So I'm going to go check this location. If you'll help me to remember the local, state, national parks, definitely to get out. I can't get over how many people just haven't been to all the national parks in the U.S., right?
Well, we haven't been to all of them.
We haven't been to all. We've been to a lot.
a
We
few
want to
of
go to
them.
more.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Okay, here we go. AmericanTrails.org. Okay. So it depends on what kind of trails. If you want professional trails, Y trails, physical health. I love this website. I do. And so trails are transportation. Then you won't use cars. You know how I used to bike everywhere. Dallas, Fort Worth got rid of. I mean, it made it impossible to be able to bike anywhere around here. It's crazy. Whereas in Oregon and California and all those places, they're adding biking trails and adding biking places and all that. And Dallas, Fort Worth just like took them away.
Something just occurred to me. There can be adventure in it, so it can be
Yes.
an adventure to go out, like in the mountains of New Mexico when you go out and you're about to get caught in the dark, trying to find your way back.
Yeah, we know, we've done that.
We did that. Yeah.
And it was a good thing. It's funny at the time.
Ended
We're
up
like,
being
we
a good
were very
thing.
smart.
Yeah.
We've had it. Or just taking off without all the equipment that we needed. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, we're going to be these people on TV, the couple that came to the Rocky Mountains or came to the Appalachian Trail, whatever, and just thought, hey, let's go hiking. And we didn't bring anything to prepare. So we've learned.
What are those 5 questions?
Here it is.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for.
Answer these 5 questions first.
Yes.
Oh, there they are.
These are the things that we didn't think about in the serious. Okay. Thank you. No, don't go let her in. Okay. When are they going to open it up? Do you know? Okay. May 1st is when everything's supposed to. Oh, maybe May 1st. Okay. Here we go. So I was going to try to find the list around here. Trails
I think that's best. Yeah.
Let me do that.
That's better.
Oh, the geocaching.com. I don't know why I just didn't say that, but I guess they would figure that out. Okay.
Trails in DFW.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Hiking trails in DFW.
There you go.
To admit it's getting better, a little better all the time.
You're getting better all the time. Now back to Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
We wanted to let you know that if you'd like to start hiking, one of the best things to do is to start at your local, state, and national parks.
If there's one close by, that's a great place to start.
Yes, and so if you want more detail of all the trails you can find in other places or around this area or your area, you can go to AmericanTrails.org.
Mm-hmm.
If you would like to do geocaching to find all the fun treasures, you can go to geocaching.com. GeoCaching.com or .org. So around this area, when you look at the Dallas-Fort Worth area, because I went to AmericanTrails.com and it took me to all the trails around here, Treadmill Crow Park in downtown Dallas, they have a walking trail for you. Now, we know by the Trinity River there are trails that go all the way from Fort Worth and Dallas, all around there. There are the Coombs Creek Trail. There's the Santa Fe Trail, Piedmont Ridge Trail, Texas Buckeye Trailhead, Harry S. Moss Park. These are all right down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They even go, I mean, you can go on up, Farmers Branch, Plano, and all those places. But if you just look around even University Park, there's Bachman Lake Park, Rowlett Nature Trail if you're over in Rowlett Nature Trail, and the Santa Fe Trail is over near White Rock Lake. So you can just, and you were talking about the botanical gardens, and you were wondering if they're open, the Dallas.
Yeah, I don't know if they're open. I mean, I just don't know, because you have the botanical gardens, and then you have the gardens over in Dallas, you know.
Yeah, and they have the Trinity River Audubon Center. So many places, the Big Cedar Wilderness Trails, Cedar Ridge Preserve. A lot of people just don't know there's a bird, butterfly, and mammal habitat. There's lots of places right around here you can get out to. And there, you know, even if the building itself is locked, because they often have an office building or, you know, like the exhibits inside or things like that, you can still go on the trails.
Yep.
And get out. And so they, you know, our parks are not closed. In some states, they've closed the parks, which is so crazy. But they have, and they don't want you to get out. And they are even talking about, and let me just say this, they're talking about viruses on the playground equipment that's in the hot sun, okay? That's not going to happen. Heat kills viruses faster than anything. And so, you know, but you can always use hand sanitizer.
Sure.
Now, there is great hand sanitizer. So let's talk about this. We love PureWorks. And so you can get that at pureworks.com.
Because
and
it lasts
5 to 8 hours, right?
Yeah.
So you put it on, and anything you touch, it's going to kill those germs on your hands. So your hands won't get anything on it for 5 to 8 hours. And they have some other brands. So it's a very important thing about hand sanitizer if it's a foam. If you get a foam, it lasts a lot longer. Otherwise, it can just work and kill the bacteria on your hands right then, but it doesn't last any longer than that. So the foams last longer, and PureWorks has a foam, and I would suggest the foam. Okay. And so that's some of the things called preventing and being smart when you go out. We put it on, you know, today. And so we often will put it on in the morning, and then we'll put it on in the afternoon, sometimes 3 times a day. But we don't have to constantly be putting it on all the time because we're protected. So that's just something. Anyway, but that's what to find the trails and for you to start thinking of hitting the trails, okay, and getting out. We want you to be able to start small and get the details so that you can go enjoy, because it is kind of like life can be a treasure hunt. Just going on these new trails, not knowing where they're going, just going out, enjoy. We have gotten lost a few times.
Yeah, and this brought up another topic that's a part of what we've been talking about. Yeah, I was thinking, you know, there's adventure that goes along with hiking, and it depends on where you are and what you're doing, but there can be some really fun adventures that you can have on a hiking trail.
Well, and and you know, it's I mean, to me, it's economically beneficial to you because you get a lot of entertainment when you're doing as well. So you're saving money without having to drive or anything like that, or paying for entertainment, but you're getting exercise, you get all the mental health benefits, the physical health benefits.
Yep.
And so, you know, and you're increasing your brain power and your creativity, all those kinds of things all together.
And we're really thinking that this might be a very good time to overcome any kind of tendency not to get out. In other words, this might be a more motivating time. Most people are feeling so cooped up and unable to do things that they like to do. So you can get out and go to a park, go to the hills, go to the woods or whatever, and do some hiking, do some walking. Maybe this will be a motivation for people.
Yes. Now, I did have a lady tell me that she actually moved her treadmill out on the back porch. And I had another girl tell me that she put her elliptical on the back porch. So that's something you could do, too.
That's a good idea.
Take your workout equipment outside.
Yep.
And I had someone say before that they took their karate bag and put it outside. They had like a gazebo. So just some suggestions for you. If anything, sit outside for a while today. Go outside for a while today and enjoy the beautiful air, because we want you to always keep getting better every day. See you here.